Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on EntrepreNERDS CodeTeachers podcast. Today, I'm so excited to have with me Liza Seal, my friend and current reigning Mrs. Orlando America 2020, the co-owner of 2 tech companies and CEO of nonprofit Puppets Against Bullying. Hi, Liza. Welcome and thank you for joining me today. I think you're such an inspiration. I love what you do to empower others. I know you've experienced bullying in the past, and so has your daughter. And you've used this to really turn this into something to empower others. And I think you're a fun and authentic person. And I'd love if you could share your story about kind of where you grew up, the bullying you've experienced, and how you've got to where you are now, which is so impressive.
Thank you, Ashley. So I'm originally from South Africa, and I was a very shy child. And I think that made me a target. And it wasn't easy. It really, it made me even more shy and introverted. And I carried that with me throughout my life. And then fast forward when I had my daughter, and my daughter suffers from dyslexia, so she struggles to read. And then when I found out she was being bullied at school, and that's when I decided, I'm going to put my foot down and see what I can do about it. And that's when I thought about creating Puppets Against Bullying. And, we use puppets because kids love and to interact with puppets. They relate with puppets. And I think bullying is such an epidemic in our schools right now. And if we don't target it at the elementary schools, I think middle and high school is way too late.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think experiencing bullying is as hard as it is. It does give you this kind of compassion for others. And I think that you've really turned this into something to, as positively as possible, turn it into a message.
Yeah.
And I would love if you could talk a little bit about your experience. I know that you've founded more than one company, and you've also recently become Mrs. Orlando 2020, and hopefully soon Mrs. Florida. So just wondering if you could talk through a little bit about how you did that. What was your...
So, when I decided to compete for Mrs. Florida America, really my initial thought was I was, being a foreigner, going to meet like-minded women, married women, just to get to know people. Because being a foreigner was hard, and it's hard to relate and meet new people. So going into this, I'm so excited. I'm meeting all these women, and then something happened. This opportunity came past where I was using my sash to bring awareness to bullying, and it was like, oh, but this is my purpose. I guess this is my purpose. And not only that, we run 2 companies. The one is zipcoder.com, that's on-demand service for service providers. And the other one is lawyers for lawyers, and that's called incozy.com. It's also an on-demand platform. And I think being a co-owner of companies and owner, it's taught me a lot in confidence-wise. And, I want to inspire other women. I want to inspire other girls, so it's necessary. And I feel like that was my purpose.
I love it. I remember actually the moment I met you, and there's a light within you that you share to the world. I am so inspired by you. I'm very proud of you, and proud of you as a woman that helps other women as well. And I think I would love to hear a little bit about how you became brave enough to go from being this shy girl who was bullied to actually being someone that will probably be Mrs. Florida soon. Like, how did you do that? Where did you find that bravery?
Oh my gosh, it took practice. I can tell you that. It's not just something that happened overnight. I slowly but surely, back in South Africa, I was a medical rep, and it kind of like forced me to talk to people, even though I was super shy. But the more I did it, it's an exercise. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. And then, moving on, becoming an owner, having to speak to people, other CEOs, other business people. And, it's really just practice.
That's such a good point. I mean, anything you want to become great at, if you put energy and time into making yourself better, you can make it happen. And did you do, I mean, I don't mean anything weird, but did you do anything like visualize yourself winning? Or I know you did a lot of fitness. Did you do any mental preparation?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's definitely part of it. Envisioning, seeing it happen, positive vibes, just writing things down, doing research. You really have to do it. You can't just go into a pageant and think, that maybe, hopefully I'm going to win. There's a lot of things that and works together for you to do something like that.
Well, I know that in the past, our daughters were actually in a couple of fashion shows together, and it was so fun to see these girls that were both shy, although Vanki's pretty outgoing, but, our little girls basically doing this hugely brave act. I was so impressed with them too.
Yeah.
And your daughter actually also had the fortunate opportunity to teach her a little bit about coding and things like that. And I've just been so inspired by the way you are as a mom and a business leader, and now, this title that you carry. And I want other people to see how much your voice matters, not just you, but the voice that we each have within ourselves. And I think I would also love to hear a little bit about Puppets Against Bullying.
Sure. But I want to go back to about what you said.
Sure.
It's not always easy. But you have to be brave and take that first step. It's taking that first step towards something that you really want to do, as hard as what it can be. And once you've taken that step, that's when it's worth it. It really is worth it at the end of the day.
That makes so much sense. And I remember you preparing when I don't even know if you knew you were preparing, but you were so focused on fitness and health and just doing the right things. And I saw you growing as a person. And I was wondering if you could kind of talk through how you went through that evolution and when you knew you were ready to go for it. How did you do it?
For the pageant?
Yes, for the pageants first. And then I want to talk about Puppets Against Bullying.
So for the pageant, I really did know that both my children had to be at elementary school before I do this, because it does take a lot of time. A lot of going to meetings, chamber events. And I know that a lot of the things I can then do during the day when my kids were at school. And I knew that was going to be definitely the right time for me. But I also think having my two companies and talking a lot to people also prepared me for it. Because you need to know the world, and you need to know what's going on around you, and the issues we have. It's not just bullying. We've got a lot of other things happening, and I think making yourself aware prepared me to enter, and that gave me the self-confidence to do it.
That's wonderful. Okay, so I want to hear a little bit about Puppets Against Bullying, and then I'd also like to hear a little bit about your tech company too.
All right.
So we can tell the audience, and they'll be ready to be on the lookout.
So Puppets Against Bullying, I happened to meet this wonderful woman. Her name is Edna Bland, and she was the mentor, well, she was mentored by Big Bird up in New York from Sesame Street. And your fate is so strange. She happened to fall in my lap, and I met her by accident. And when I told her about Puppets Against Bullying, she was over the moon about it. And she's been helping me prepare. She's been helping me set everything up. And we've been working together. Wonderful, wonderful woman. And, she's a middle school teacher, and she teaches puppets classes to middle school kids. And, I've learned so much from her. And I think we're going to be using puppets at elementary schools to talk about kindness and acceptance and diversity, because everyone is so diverse. And it doesn't really matter. I think we need to teach this to our little ones, because if we're not stepping up and teaching it to them, it leads to other stuff. It leads to kids being severely bullied and committing suicide. We've just got so many kids committing suicide. It leads to alcohol, drug abuse. So if we do not tackle this at an early age, we're just going to continue the cycle. And I love the puppets because we can engage with the little ones. They want to engage. Because I could sit there with my crown and my sash, but it's only going to work so many times. But they're definitely more open. And it's more of a psychological therapy for kids, you know, using puppets.
That makes sense. And do the puppets have names? Do you have certain mascots or?
Well, we're working on 3 puppets right now. We have the bunny, who is the victim, who's being bullied. Then we have the sly fox, who is the bully. And then we have the big bear. He's a muscular bear. And you would think that he would then just be a bystander, but he's actually going to be standing up for our bunny. And those are our 3 characters that we are working on with our storyline, and, you know, trying to take those to all the schools in, for now, just for Orlando. And then once that works, we're going to take it to the rest of Florida.
That's awesome. That's so wonderful. Yeah. Well, I definitely would love to help you with that and get more involved, because I think it's so inspiring. And the other thing I was going to ask you about is if you could tell us a little bit about your tech company that you're working on. Whatever is not secret, not too much. But.
You know what? We're actually going to be launching in June. This is zipcoder.com. And, you know, technology is changing so fast that, you know, we all started off with computers, and then we started off with apps, and now people are wanting to have the service of on-demand, you know, on-demand services. And I think that happened, and my husband came upon the idea when we were driving up to Nashville, and we saw the most beautiful home, and we didn't want to drive off to see this house, and we couldn't really figure out how to get to it. So as you drive, you can pull up the app, you can find the house, and then get a price, a real estate agent to help you on demand, like in real time. And so that's how the idea started. And so that's for everything, roofers, tilers, pool services, gardening services, anything, beauty services, anything you can think of, but it's an on-demand service.
That's so awesome. I can't wait to use it. I'm excited. And
thank you.
I think, you know, today, some of the tips that I feel that you've passed are really just about, that you've shared, are about how to be brave. If I was going to distill it down, go for the things that you're maybe afraid to do. Just take the first step.
Yeah.
What's something that you would love others to know? Like if there's some piece of advice you could pass along, or a quote that you love, something that you'd love everyone to know.
You know what? There's a bigger purpose for all of us. There really is. It took me 39 years to figure out, but eventually it came to me. And even though I love what I do with our tech companies, it's really my nonprofit that's near and dear to my heart. And it took me a long time to find out, but that is really my purpose. And my advice would be, you know, try everything. Even if you fail, it's okay. Take the first step. Maybe it's not for you. Yeah. Keep on trying, because it's when you keep on trying and trying to find out what it is that you love and what your purpose is, then go for it. Go for it. Don't be scared. It's hard. Yes, we know, but it's going to be worth it. I promise you it's going to be worth it.
That is amazing advice. I love that. And I would love to do another one of these with you soon, and maybe even show off the puppets. I just want to tell you that personally, for me, Big Bird was also such an inspiration to me when I was younger, because I'm tall, and I kind of equated that to this really cool bird that I loved, Big Bird. So I'm really excited to hear what you're doing with this. And yeah, I just hope that everyone looks into what you're doing and finds a way to help out. So we'll provide information to the listeners, and Thank you so much for your time today.
It's a pleasure. And I want to give you one more quote, if it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's one of my absolute favorite quotes. It took me a long time to develop a voice. And now that I have it, I'm not going to be quiet. And I'm going to use my voice. And I love that quote. And that quote by Madeleine Albright. And I just love that. That resonated with me. You know, I like reading about motivational positive quotes. And when I read that, it was like, that stuck with me.
I love that. That's an awesome way to end. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
I just had so much fun with you. Thank you.
And I miss you so much, and I love you.
I miss you so much, and I love you too. And I just want to thank you for joining us today and say to the audience, thank you. Go out and create something today and sign up for improv. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for having me.
Thank you too.